Hello, hello. Welcome to Ram and Goat Astrology. I'm Laura Lee.
I'm Helena. Hello.
Welcome. If you're a new listener or if you're a returnee, thank you so much for tuning in with us. We sure love doing this and have so much fun chatting.
Yeah. And we missed recording last week, and you just said like, oh, it feels like such a long time ago.
Yeah,
And for me too, it really feels when when we miss these recordings, because it's sort of like therapy in a way for me as well, to
for
like
sure.
go through and have someone to talk about astrology with,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there's not that many in my circle that knows the lingo and all of that.
Right. Right. And
Yeah.
and I have a few people I can chat with, but mostly it's my family. And my 13-year-old son Elliot was struggling the other day when the sun and the new moon and Mercury were all in Aries. They happened to be on top of his natal Venus and Mars. So he was like really feeling it for those 2 days. And he's like, man, his mood and his fight and like everything he was just a ball of fire.
Mm.
And I was like, "Do you want me to explain what's happening?" He's like, "In astrology? No, I don't wanna hear it."
Yeah. No, yeah, I get the same. Like, I know that I will have to pick my occasions to talk about astrology, because there's a situation, and in my head it's spinning with astrology, and I know,
Right.
like, I'm like, okay, I can see that and this and that, but I'm like holding my breath a little bit, like, should I?
Yeah.
And I try, and like, you want to hear my interpretation, or do you want to hear what's going on in the sky?
Right?
And then
I do
sometimes,
have
like,
to
yeah,
ask.
yes, yes,
Some
yeah.
people are like, "Absolutely tell me," and this
Mm,
time he was like, "I don't wanna know about it.
yeah,
I don't wanna," and he was all
yeah,
grumbly and oh, it was amusing to watch. It's like, "Okay,
yeah,
nobody touch Elliot. He is burning hot. Leave him alone."
mm,
Like, that
yeah.
was a lot of Aries energy for him, so his normally calm Taurus self did not really enjoy that type of heat, so
No, yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about like Ferdinand the Bull,
yeah.
and when they put that, like, they poked him with a
Yeah,
hot iron, right,
yep, to get him going, yeah,
to get him going.
because
It's very uncomfortable for Tauruses to get going.
yeah, because he didn't wanna get going, he was
No.
totally fine just being in his field sniffing his flowers, and
Mm,
then
yeah.
they took him to the
And then,
bullfighting arena.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, we have
But
that story, we like that story.
mm, this past week has been a little bit crazy. It's been a lot
Yeah,
for me, and I think for everyone in the whole
yes.
world. It
So
felt
whenever
really
you're tuning
intense.
into this, this is the week of the spring equinox that happened on the
Mm.
21st of March, and then the Pluto movement into Aquarius on the 23rd. So that's the week we are recording this in, and it's a lot of shifting. I know planets are usually, planets move.
Mm.
It's a thing, but there's occasional times where they all decide to take a big leap together. And March
Yeah.
and April have been really big. So we're going to talk about April today and what's going on with the planetary shifts in April coming up, and we'll kind of recap a little bit about March.
Mm.
So what have you been feeling over there?
Well, this past week, starting with the spring equinox and the new moon, it
Yeah.
happened on the same day. My mood was very much. I remember the day before the equinox. I was so low. I really felt like I just really felt low, and it's like it was the last day of Pisces, and I felt like everything was, sad and dull and like dead, and I wasn't getting anywhere, and I wasn't going anywhere. And then the day after, when the sun entered Aries, everything shifted, and I was full of energy, full of life, and it's just been very up and down. Those
Hmm.
days were just
Yeah.
really, really up and down in my mood, and I felt a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
And then it's sort of been a very sad week as well, because I felt like there's been, like, death has been very prevalent,
Okay.
um, everywhere I look, like in my social circle, and um,
Mm.
it's just been very much there, and people have been losing loved ones. uh, this week, and I've been crying. I've been crying a lot, and really feeling. There was one day, the day before Pluto entered Aquarius, where I just wept and wept and wept in the car on my way home from
Mm,
work.
I did
So
that last week.
yeah, you did, yeah.
Yep.
I just felt, death in a totally new way, and
Yeah.
I really think that is Pluto's doing, and really reminded me of how sad it is to let people go, to
Yeah.
let them go, and not see them anymore, to not have them around, let
Well,
them go
don't
into
forget
death.
about Saturn's trek into Pisces, right?
Yeah, yeah, that
That
happened
that's
as
a
well.
that's a big energy shift that I think a lot of us are really going to be experiencing, is this intense layer of sadness as we feel these deep feelings in order to heal. That's the Pisces energy. So you probably
Mm.
are really embracing that as well. Do you know where that's showing up for you in your chart?
Uh,
I haven't looked at your
Let me
chart
take a look.
specifically.
So let's see where Saturn is right now. You mean for
Yeah, so
me?
Saturn moved into Pisces on March 7th, and that's a hard energy, Saturn.
Yeah. Well, it's in my
And
first house.
oh, your
Yeah,
first house. Yeah.
because my
Yeah.
first house is humongous. So it's everything that's happening right now. It's just there in
Yeah.
my first
So it's
house.
either happening to you, like personally, first house energy, or opposite, which is seventh house energy. So partnerships. So you're going to feel that, and that's so personally, on either by yourself or with a partner, right? Like that's the energy is going to show up for you that way.
Mm, yeah,
That's that's tough.
it was, but I also felt like it was beautiful in a way, and
Yeah.
I had this really these moments that really shook me, and I became really existential, but in sort of a nice way,
Yeah.
like, so just thinking about, people having to let people go who are so close, and it's so unfair because they're young,
Yeah.
and about life, like how much pain there is here, and also that we have so many really good times too that makes up for everything,
Right.
and I was just in the car like, why life, why do we go through this, what is the meaning, but
Mm,
yeah, it was nice, and I get to go, I got home, and David, my boyfriend, listened to me and held me, and yeah,
mm. Yeah.
wiped my tears, yeah.
Good.
So
Good.
that was nice.
You have your planet or asteroid, dwarf planet, whatever, Cirrus, at 1 degree Aries. So you would have really been feeling an intense energy that day for sure, that spring equinox day.
Mm,
That's Cirrus is how we feel nourished and nurtured and really deeply, deeply loved and supported. And that being activated by Mercury, the new moon, and the sun. Whew, girl, of course you'd be crying and feeling all of that energy, and
mm,
really, really that deep nourishment of that fire. It's almost like the new moon stoked your internal emotions and your internal fire to really release what needed to be released. And
yeah,
that's, like you said, beautiful but hard too.
yeah, yeah.
So with March energy, we still have a little bit left in March, but it's been quite the shift, and big shifts, really big shifts. And now April's going to be trekking in here soon.
Mm.
And holy man, is this an active month?
It is. It is. I just want to add one thing about Pluto,
Yeah.
because that I thought was really interesting, and you sent me an article as well about, because Pluto, as we all know now, entered Aquarius on the 23rd, and the day before, the Swedish Parliament voted uh, yes to NATO.
Oh,
The
interesting.
day before, the last day that Pluto was in Capricorn, and Capricorn is all about
Yep.
those, the structures, and we're doing it, things like this and that, and now we decided on that day to join NATO.
What an
And if that is not
interesting
a
timing.
huge change and transformation that I don't know what is. Yeah.
It's almost like they snuck it in at the last minute,
Oh yeah.
like
Yeah.
energetically, astrologically, energetically. Like they
Mm,
snuck that in at the very last minute of that Pluto Capricornian
mm.
structure, foundations, and government, right?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that's happened this week that we won't see now, but
Right.
in a couple of weeks, months, years, we will see the consequences
Yeah.
because Pluto, works really deep
It
and
builds.
it
Yeah.
builds, but it takes a long time. So it's
So
not like Uranus who goes boom.
I was just a guest on a podcast. The Sisterarchy is the name of that podcast, and I was just interviewed on there for Pluto and Aquarius. And Chi, the host, asked me, what is something that people can really, take away from this or really individually work with? And I said, the thing is, revolutions don't happen just kind of willy-nilly, right? The revolution first has to happen inside of you before you feel this action and momentum to then connect with other like-minded people to then have the bigger revolution, right? So there's going to be this internal switch for all of us. Everyone's going to feel it in some way, shape, or form. There's going to be an internal switch where we're just not going to tolerate the way things were done, whether that's at your county level or your state level or your country level or individual within your own little tiny community or your apartment complex. There's something that has been bugging you personally. And it's that internal shift, which is what Pluto does. It destroys so that new creation can happen. And Aquarius is so about making things better, right? Leaving things a better way than you started with them.
Mm,
But that requires a little bit of anarchy and a little bit of rebellion and revolution. And so it's not going to happen just because. It's first got to happen within each of us.
mm,
And then we connect with other people who it's also happened to. And then we have the bigger revolution. So this is definitely going to take some time. And I think what's going to happen is I think Pluto's in Aquarius for like 7 or 8 weeks, something like that. And then he goes
yeah.
back into Capricorn for the rest of the year. My guess is when we go back into Capricorn, we're going to feel this, ugh, we don't like this at all kind of energy, right? It's going to
Mm,
really become apparent that whatever it is, XYZ topic is not working, right? That's when it's really going to like get drilled into us that this cannot continue.
yeah.
So I think that's when we make the foundational shift those last couple months of Pluto in Capricorn the rest of this year. And then come January, I'm so excited to see what happens. Something's going to shift. But before all
Yes.
that happens, we've got April coming up.
We do
And I
have April
and
coming.
I have to have a baby soon too.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
In just a few weeks.
Just a
That's a
few
thing
weeks.
too. That's
That
a
is.
huge event.
Yes. Yes, huge event. My last one, we're doing a home birth, a planned home birth with my midwife. Yesterday, when Pluto moved into Aquarius, my son and I published our first book together. So I wrote the book called We Had a Baby at Home and Other Ways Families Welcome New Babies. So this is written by me from the perspective of my 3 older children and their experience with having a home birth with their sister Saffron, who's now 2.
Mm,
And then, getting excited to do this again. So the book is very inclusive of all types of birth, but it focuses on home birth, breastfeeding, cloth diapering, that kind of stuff. But we have a whole glossary of terms in there about adoption and
mm,
surrogacy and just all of the things a family might need or a new couple might need to know about
mm.
alternative ways to birth. So um
Yeah, this is
I'm
really Aquarian.
I'm so
And I mean,
right, isn't it?
I mean, this is what people used to do before we started doing this hospital way,
Right.
but it's very Aquarian for now to
Yeah.
go out there and say, I'm gonna do it differently than most people in, in your country are doing it.
Yes. Yeah, it's only about 1 to 2% of births in our country that are, planned home births, and I did put a whole, I think, 2 pages at the end, of facts and figures about births and statistics in America, and it was not unt it was about 1930, 1940 when basically doctors started to medicalize births and started to really remove women's power and say, no, this is a medical event, this is high risk, you need to come to the hospital. So
Yeah.
that's when it really started, was the 30s and 40s, and by 1950s there was well over 60 to 70% of births were in the hospital, and by the 90s it was over 90%. So
Yeah.
it really shifted this past couple decades, but before
Mm.
that, everybody was born at home. That was the
Yeah.
norm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we had that come out. I'm very, very proud of that. My son did the illustrations for it. And so now he's a published illustrator. So to celebrate yesterday, we played a little bit of video games together, which I never do. And then he agreed to play a board game with me, which I prefer.
Oh,
So
that's so
it
nice.
was nice. We hung
That's
out.
so cool. Yeah, so he illustrated the book and it looks really good and you can get it on Amazon, right?
Amazon. Yes.
Amazon.
Yes.
That's
So we're
amazing.
excited for that, and we've got
Mm,
that under our belt, and now it feels like we kinda, like, I don't know, left a legacy in a way,
mm,
like, this is something my I did with my son, and it'll be out there in the ethers and cosmos
mm.
for, as long as the earth is here, so I'm excited.
And this is really cool because I remember us talking a long time ago about your career and your path in your career. And you were like, I think that my children will have a lot to do with my career. And I feel like this is the first real step that
Tangible.
tangible step
Yeah,
where you really worked with your kids. I mean,
I
he
agree.
illustrated all of the pictures, all of the whole book he illustrated. Yeah.
Yep. Yep, and he did amazing, and I knew that, and I'd been told that when we had, Mary Louise on our show. She is a medium, and she told me immediately when I first had one of my very first sessions with her, she said,
Mm.
"Your children are part of your business, they're not separate from it." And it was like a very stern message from spirit, and my brain went, "Well, how do I do that? That sounds like a pain in the butt." But it just kinda happened really naturally and unfolded really naturally, and I I see it happening now with the girls too, where they're getting a little bit
Mm.
more involved, and we're doing, like, our art business together, and it's been growing slowly and steadily where we're really connecting as a family. So, I'm excited to have all these big changes right before this little one shows up and changes our whole world again.
Mm. Yeah. Oh, that's so
Yeah,
amazing.
so April
Yeah.
is coming up. So with April 1st, it starts off kind of with a bang with Mars trining Saturn.
Mm. Yeah, I feel like that is two very much their energies, very like you have Mars, this can be aggressive, very much in your face energy, like just like a you know, super
Yeah. Yeah.
forceful, but it can, I mean, it doesn't have to be in a bad way, but that is Mars. And then you have Saturn, that disciplined, structured,
Yep.
sometimes very annoying reminder that did we do everything right? But those are going
Rules,
to be trining each
discipline.
other.
Right.
Yeah, rules, discipline. But they will be in a trine to each other. And a trine is a more gentle, nice flowing energy. So they will really
Yeah.
be having a good conversation on this day, on April
Yes.
1st.
Yes. A harmonious conversation. They're not arguing. So Mars's intensity will still be there, but he won't be flaring up,
Mm. What do you think
so
is
to
a
say.
good thing to do on this day? Mars
Mm. Well,
trine
I think when you
Saturn.
combine Mars and Saturn, you get a lot of ambition and you get a lot of perseverance, right? This
Mm.
is this is your drive and your ambition, and then Saturn is your staying power and your being mature about things. So when
Yeah.
you combine drive and ambition and staying power and maturity, I think you really get this strength to really pursue challenges, whether it's completing a task you've been putting off for a while or getting your accounting stuff or budgeting stuff done, right? Like really persevering and pushing through tasks in a mature and responsible way.
Mm,
I think Saturn's going to really lean into that maturity and responsibility, right?
yeah.
And you'll just feel a sense of self-discipline in a way you maybe haven't felt it in a while.
Yeah, like you will have the energy to actually to do them
Yeah.
instead of those tasks depleting you.
Yes. Yes.
Mm,
I agree. Instead of, oh, I got to do this, it'll be, all right, we're going to take this task on today, right?
let's go.
It'll be a new shift, a new energy of wanting to do it instead of having to do it.
Yeah.
That's how I see this trine. That's where whenever I see Mars and Saturn talking lovely to each other in somebody's chart, I'm like, "Oh, good for you." Like,
Yeah.
yay, you don't have to fight. These 2 planets are so intense. And when they're not having a good conversation with each other, it is a internal fight when
Mm,
that shows up in your chart like that. But this
mm.
transit, I think, is gonna be really helpful and a great, great kickoff to April.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna schedule errand day on this day because I
Yes.
have a lot of things to get done. So I think that this day will be like my errand day.
That's a great idea. And
Mm.
what is that's a Saturday, right? I think.
I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure. Yes, that's a Saturday. So
Oh, okay.
there you go.
Nice.
There you go. I think also there'll be a lot of physicality that day. So you'll want to, Mars is very physical. So it's also our sex drive. So if you if you need some attention in that department, that may
Yeah.
be a good day for that.
Get disciplined about it.
Get to I love it. Get to schedule it. Honestly,
Yeah.
that's what that would look like in my mind is like schedule a date, right? If you and your partner are in need of some intimate time and you haven't had it in a while or life just hasn't, connected you properly with alignment and timing, make it a point to schedule something that day to really get some physical energy, whether that's going for a hike or a bike ride or, in playtime in the bedroom, whatever that looks like.
Mm.
I think that's a great day to really utilize that energy.
Yeah. Sweet.
You'll probably feel very attractive that day too.
Yeah. I
So
think so.
that's first. Then on the third, we have Mercury shifting signs. So 2 days later, Mercury's getting out of Aries and moving into Taurus.
Mm.
So your mind is
So
gonna slow down.
it will slow down. It's right now in Aries. You know, everything's spinning. You talked
Yeah,
about your head spinning. I talked about my head spinning. It's just spinning so
yeah,
fast. So I'm actually really looking forward to this
me too.
because Taurus is all about just sort of being like syrup.
Yeah,
You know, just being in the couch and or just like being out in the grass, just laying about and
like that's the best analogy ever. It's like syrup.
yeah, and yeah. I mean, that could be bad having your mind be like syrup, but if you have all of the things that if you pay your bills on time and you get all of that out of the way, then I don't mind having my mind be like syrup.
Right, right.
Mm.
And I think that's important to recognize whenever Mercury moves into an earth sign, which there's, the 3 of them, Taurus and Virgo and Capricorn, this is not a time to push mentally yourself or anyone else, right? Do not push people with their mind in earth. I have learned this the hard way, and if you take away anything from this podcast, this is the nugget. Don't push people whose mind moves slow and deliberately. You will frustrate the shit out of them and cause tension. Like it
And
just
you
will
will
not
never
work.
change their mind. No.
No, no, don't do it. I have my men in my house have this. I've got one with a Mercury Capricorn and one with a Mercury Taurus.
I'm
Don't
living with a Mercury Taurus.
see.
Yeah, so I know just what you're talking about.
Do not push them. Let them move through the intellectual scene or
Mm.
take in the information at the pace that they do and allow them to communicate at the pace that they do. I have had to learn this, with all my fire and air. I've had to learn this one the hard way over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
And those lessons have been less than fun. So
Yeah.
when Mercury enters Taurus through, transiting through the sky, it does kind of slow everybody down. So when it's in Aries, your mind is just full of ideas, wants to take action on everything. Everything.
Yeah.
Last
Mm.
night, I think it was 8:30 at night. I got done with a reading, a phenomenal astrology reading. Got done with the reading, and my brain goes, "Okay, what should we work on? Let's go clean out the back room where we're gonna make it into a bathroom. Let's go start cleaning that out." And I went back there, and someone in my brain went, "Laura, you're pregnant. Sit down. It's 9 p.m."
Yeah.
So luckily, I've got somebody who's smart up there, but that Mercury in Aries is like, "Go, take action, do it, do the thing."
Yeah.
Where that's just because your mind says to do the thing doesn't mean you should do the thing.
Mm-mm.
And for those of you that don't know, Aries doesn't make the best decisions.
Doesn't think too much about the consequences,
Not
which
at
is
all.
the total opposite to Taurus because and I
Totally.
think that is so it makes so much sense that Taurus comes after Aries because Aries has all of those ideas and then Taurus thinks about it not once, not twice, a couple of times and
Yeah.
thinks about all the steps because this is also I see in my partner that he is so good at this. He thinks everything through. I mean sometimes way too much, but
Oh yeah.
it's like, well, I have a plan for a year, and then this is gonna happen, and then that is gonna happen. So that can also be. It's a great time to take those ideas from when Mercury was in Aries and
Yes.
think about how are you gonna make them into reality, and is there really a good idea, or is it just an
Does
idea?
it Yeah, did it just sound fun because you were in Aries mode at the time? Because
Yeah.
what sounds fun when you're drunk does not always sound fun when you're sober. And I feel like Aries Mercury and Taurus Mercury are kind of like drunk and sober.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
sounds so funny to say, but that's really what it is, really.
It
So
is.
when it moves on the third into Taurus, this is a time where, like you said, you can take those Aries ideas and really create some concrete structure around them
Mm,
and make them into the tangible reality that Taurus loves.
for sure.
However, when you make plans, when the mind is in an earth sign and the plans don't follow through exactly the way you wanted them to, there is a heavier sense of letdown.
Mm,
Right? We really seem to feel this, "Oh, like,
mm,
why did but that was the plan, that's what we were doing," right? Like you said, your partner is like, "I have a plan for a year." Okay,
yeah.
cool, but life doesn't go that way.
No, that's also
So, we
very
have to
true.
have some flexibility to our
Yeah.
plan, and this is raising a earthy Mercury child has taught me that it is important to make sure he understands how flexibility really can play into proper mental health, right? Like if
Mm,
he doesn't get so fixated on how things are supposed to be and enjoys the way they flow, and maybe we did 80% of the plan, but not 100%, right? We still need to be good with the 80%
mm,
and not beat ourselves up because the whole plan didn't work, right? So
yeah.
the mind in an earth sign at the beginning of April is going to slow us down and put us into that concrete kind of energy, which is good because it's still Jupiter's Aries. It's still a sun in Aries, so there's still lots of good action energy. It's just the mind will get a little bit more, dare I
Mature?
say, yeah, a little bit more scrutinizing about what we are putting our action energy into.
Yeah,
So then
yeah.
what happens next? What do we got? April
Mm,
6th, we've got a full moon.
yeah.
That's exciting.
Full moon in the sign of Libra.
Yep. Yep.
So full moons are a time when it's great to let go, not
Yeah.
think about or start new projects, but let things go and release stuff.
Yep.
Uh, I mean, I think about like tears falling, like literally letting things just drop from you. And it's a
Yep.
powerful time. I mean, it's not when you go crazy, lunatic, it's from the
The
moon
lunar
being
energy.
full. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very strong energy. So uh time to let go, and it's in Libra, and Libra is all about relationships.
Yeah, so I think this one for me, I really feel this. I've got so much Aries Libra energy, and this is one I know I can already feel coming on. This is where I will, like you said, you were really crying with your partner. This is a good cry with a partner kind of energy. This is
Yeah.
using that
Oof.
Libra partnership to really fully release.
Mm,
And the release allows you to have a better harmony within yourself, which is what Libra's all about, is harmony, balance, peace, right? And we can't have
mm,
harmony, balance, and peace when we're hanging on to emotional baggage that doesn't serve us anymore, when we're
mm,
hanging on to just resentments. Libra is a lot of energy around resentments because we're not honoring our own needs. We're putting other people's needs first, right? So
mm.
people with a lot of Libra energy. I did a vendor event this past weekend and I had 11 astrology readings, which I need to say is way too many. And I totally burned out afterwards. However, most of these people had a ton of Libra energy, a ton.
Hmm.
And every single one of them, the theme of the day was, here's how we set healthy boundaries. Here's how we honor our own needs and tend to other people's needs, right? Libra has to be this give and take. And most of the time they're give, 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 and not enough take for ourselves, for the I.
Hmm.
So this full
Well,
moon
not
in
even
Libra,
take, but receive. Even
receive.
receiving can be hard.
That's a
Yeah.
yeah, much better word. So this full moon in Libra, while it's letting go so that you can receive. Great word. I
Mm,
like that.
mm.
Yeah. So that's
And
April 6th.
it is, and I feel like the days leading up to the full moon, the energy is really building when
Yeah.
the moon is just getting fuller and fuller. And so this might be a time when you do feel resentment, and you do start, having all of these not so easy feelings about relationships. And then full moon happens, and that's when the release comes.
Yeah.
So just
Yep.
know that, and be kind to yourself, and remember to receive, and to oh, it was something that you said that was so good. I want to repeat it. But
I think
yeah.
finding a partner who you can support and who can support you, whether that's
Mm,
a lover or a sister or a buddy or just anybody that you can partner with to really work on
mm.
releasing this. That's where I really see the Libra energy thrives so well, when they're with a buddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you struggle to release naturally, if you struggle to get into those feels, finding a sensitive friend or buddy that you can
Mm.
just hang out with and maybe have a glass of wine or whatever, eat some chocolate and sit and watch a sappy movie. Music. This would be a great time to play a really, really sad playlist
On the full moon.
on the full moon. It
Yeah.
would be a great time to journal and use that Libra air energy to pour your feelings out into a safe place on paper. So if you have
Mm.
some really good go-to sad songs that like hit you in the feels, play
Yeah.
those on April 6th and have your journal ready and, get that stuff out of you.
That's amazing. Because
That's the
sometimes you need some
feeling.
help to get those feelings flowing, and then they're just out, and they're coming, and they need to come out.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep. So then just a couple days, this is like bing bang boom, right? It's the 1st and then the 3rd and then the 6th, April 11th, we have Venus trining to Pluto and Venus enters Gemini. So Venus is getting real active on the 11th. And Venus
It
is our
is.
values, our possessions, our loved ones, how we make money, how we bring in income and finances.
Mm.
So entering Gemini, let's talk about that first. How do you see that one?
Well, Gemini, I feel like has this energy of being all over.
Yes.
It also has a lot of ideas. It's ruled by Mercury, so it's just like, and it's an air sign.
You know this energy well.
Oh,
This is your
I
natal
have
placement.
Venus in Gemini natally, yeah. So, and I have a lot of different hobbies, and everything is just all over the place. And I go from this to that, and I love to change my mind. I love to, it's my favorite thing. And my Taurus partner hates it, but I love changing my mind and I do it a lot. So I
That's
feel
awesome.
like we will have this like really fun. eh, I mean, it's also nice, Venus and Gemini. It's a very fun, active,
Yeah.
can be like a little flirty energy,
Yes.
and just like a bumblebee going from one flower to another. Doot, doot,
Yep.
doot, doot.
And friendships, networking. Gemini
Yeah.
loves connecting with people and chatting and sharing all of the information. And Venus is all about relationships and friendships and connections. So the 11th, if you are not hanging out chatting with friends and at least doing some phone calls, that'd be a great day to make some phone calls to some friends you haven't connected with in a while. It would really be a lovely time to do that. And then that same day Venus is trying to Pluto, and this is gonna be like an increased drive to pursue these desires, right? So Pluto is our desires and our power. And so we kind of unconsciously will be pursuing this under the current. And then meanwhile, our mind stays very active in the Gemini sign, and our friendships are connecting, and our money is building and coming into us. And there's just a lot of activity I see
Mm,
on this day. And that's an interesting day because this is the day um I haven't, now babies have proved me wrong millions of times now, but I have an intuitive feeling this is the day we're going to be birthing. So
mm.
that'll be an interesting energy for me that
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, with Venus trying to Pluto, I also see this, intensity that you will really love getting intense. Like if you're with friends or partners or whatever, you will be wanting to go deep in those conversations and to feel deep. Maybe, yeah, this could be like a yummy daytime as well.
I like that. I like that.
Mm,
Yeah, I was
yeah.
just looking at a good description of this particular Venus trine Pluto says, if you've recently felt stuck or blocked in some way from fulfilling your deepest needs, you will have a softening and opening which prods you towards manifesting them. I love that.
Yeah. I
I
really
like
like that. I
Yeah.
like that a lot.
Yeah, and
Okay,
that
cool.
still supports the Mercury in Taurus, which is that kind of slow, consistent thought process, and it supports the Jupiter and Sun in Aries of taking action, and you're going to be softening and opening to this manifesting energy. That
Mm,
feels good.
it does feel good. Yeah.
And then a
And I mean,
couple weeks later, not couple weeks, couple days later, we have the 20th of April. Whew,
mm,
there's a lot going on that day, lady.
it is. We have the sun square to Pluto. We
Yep,
have a new moon solar eclipse in Aries,
yep.
and also the sun enters Taurus. So all of these things are big things on their own,
Yeah,
I feel
but they
like.
all happen on the same day.
They all happen on the same day with a few hours in between. So
Right.
first, sun square to Pluto. So the sun is all about like vitality, our identity. Uh, the sun is really life. It what
Yeah,
makes it. Without the sun, we wouldn't be alive.
right.
And then we have a square, which is a little bit of a tougher energy, like that.
Yeah, that's
Those
that
things
hard
that we have to
conversation.
practice. Yeah. So we have a square to Pluto, which is, yeah,
It's
intense and
there's
goes
a
deep
there's a
and
po
can
I
be,
see whenever I see a sun square Pluto, I always feel like there's a power struggle that emerges.
yeah,
Pluto is all
yeah,
about power, and then your sun is your will and your vital life force, your consciousness, your ego, right? So when
mm,
we have that square, I feel like we really embody this kind of egotistical power struggle within ourself.
mm,
That's how I interpret that, and how it shows up is anybody's guess, right? I mean, this could show up in a whole bunch of ways for each of us because of where it is in our natal chart. But I think this is definitely going to help us to recognize these patterns of power struggles. We're going to start to create awareness around them and really use that power and hopefully move forward in a more vital way, in a more productive way, not necessarily to destroy, which Pluto does, but to create and build something new.
Mm, yeah. I feel like this will be a very intense day.
Yeah.
Yeah, mark your calendars
Yeah,
because
it's a Thursday. Yep, Thursday,
mm,
April 20th. And so this will actually be our second Aries moon, Aries new moon.
yeah.
So because we had one on the spring equinox, and now this will happen just a few hours. I think I wrote it down. It's for me, it'll be like 12 something AM where the Aries new moon will happen. And then Taurus, sun enters Taurus at 4:30 AM.
Mm.
So like you said, a couple hours apart.
Yeah, so we have this the end of Aries season really finishing off with a bang,
For
with a
real.
new moon in Aries happening with that sun square Pluto.
Yep.
So it will be, and Aries is a fire sign and can can just blurt things out.
Yep.
And with that power struggle, I feel like this is a good time to sort of to watch yourself a little bit, watch your behavior, watch what you're saying, and think things through
For
before you
sure.
just let them
For
out.
sure, because well, think about it, Pluto rules the subconscious and our fears and our desires, right? Like our under the current stuff. And the sun is the illuminator. So we're going to have these fears and desires illuminated. And so we might be feeling just a little bit different than we normally would, right? These
But
as these
uncomfortable.
fears, yep, as these fears kind of bubble up to the surface to be illuminated and dealt with. And then, of course, Saturn is still hanging out in Pisces. So
Mm,
that's where we need to recognize the feeling so we can heal. So there's going to be other planets, other planetary shifting that's going to complement Saturn's trek through Pisces of the healing feeling, healing feeling. And for some of us, who are maybe not in a good headspace, not in a good place in life right now, just things are just really a big struggle. April 20th may be a day where you just feel really dark as these fears really feel almost, it almost to me feels like being naked on stage with a spotlight on you, right? The Pluto energy of depth and secrecy and privacy being illuminated by the sun, the spotlight. So that might be illuminating a little too much for you
mm,
personally. If that is the case, please reach out to a friend. Please reach out for help.
mm,
You can, even email us if that's something you need to do. But that Saturn in Pisces will, I think, exacerbate, that's a great word, like make bigger the feelings of this is too much, right? I want to check out. I want to get out of this horrible feeling. I want to get out of this yuckiness or this vulnerability that I'm experiencing. And so my concern as Saturn treks through Pisces is that people will not understand it's a small time frame and
mm,
that they'll move out of that energy. And I'm concerned that they'll check out completely from Earth school because
mm.
of this very short little time frame, you know?
Yes.
So making sure that if you are not in a good place mentally, if you're not doing well, please, please, please reach out. There are so many helplines out there, whether it's suicide awareness helplines or a friend or anybody, just reach out and say, hey, I'm not okay right now and I need some support. And that is the healing part that we need to embrace of this Pisces Saturn energy. And Pluto's going
Mm.
to keep digging this garbage out, right? That's what he does. He's so good at that.
Loves
And
it.
then of course that April 20th, the sun is like, let me shine a spotlight on all the shit you just dug up, right?
Yeah.
And then of course it's a new moon. So that new moon in Aries is going to be a time of starting things fresh again and really embracing something, a new shift. And the new shift is the sun entering into Taurus.
Mm.
So big day, big
Very
Thursday.
big day. And I think it was really good what you said. And if you are feeling, if you know that you're not in a good place, even you already know it,
Yeah.
and you know this date is coming up, schedule it to like have a sleepover at a friend's place.
Oh, good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just so you're
Yeah.
not alone. Just so, we can have a movie night or make dinner together or whatever. Just
Mm.
because when you're alone with your thoughts and you're already in a bad place and you have
Oof.
this,
Yeah.
that would be very uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the best thing would be to have someone to talk to about this. But if not that, then just be around other people that are
Yeah.
nice.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And utilizing that Venus and Gemini energy. And then the day after that, we have Mercury in Taurus heading backwards. So he's starting to make
Yeah.
his trek retrograde. He does this 3 times a year for about 3 weeks. And so he's going to head backwards in Taurus a little bit. And that is a time where we reevaluate things. We really take a look at what's been going on. It's almost like going back after you check out of a hotel room, going back in to make sure you got all your stuff. You didn't leave anything behind, right? You need to go back and just reevaluate what's been working for you mentally, where you've been putting your mind, where your thoughts have been, the verbal communications you've had or maybe haven't had with certain people. Maybe you need to have a hard conversation with someone and you've been putting it off. Mercury retrograde is a great time to address those things. And again, it's in Taurus, so this isn't going to be like something that's going to get you excited. It's going to take time and it's going to take
Mm,
processing, and you're going to really want to make sure your words are thought out and that they are, maybe you write your notes down, right? If you have to have a hard conversation with someone, you write some notes down and evaluate what you want to say.
mm.
So Mercury retrograde is also a time where we want to be aware of technology issues, travel issues. What else happens during that?
Well, just if you're gonna have to book a flight or sign bank papers or whatever it is that you do that is important, check these papers 2 or 3 times. Make
Mhm.
sure to dot your I's, cross your T's. Or
Several times.
when Mercury is in retrograde, because things tend to get very confused and communicate. There's always communication issues. So just
Oh,
knowing this, so when your boss is late and doesn't show up, and when your colleagues are frustrated with you because of some miscommunication, just give space for this, knowing that, well, Mercury is retrograde, and I mean we don't have to blame everything on Mercury, but
right.
it's and it's not to just blame it, but it's to understand the energy more. Just be
I
like,
agree.
okay.
I see a lot of people do the blame game, and
Mm,
in my mind, there's a difference between blaming it and just being aware of the energy and going,
exactly.
oh,
Mm,
this, okay, okay,
yeah,
here's what's
yeah.
going on. And be aware that Taurus, when Taurus gets upset and there is a mental frustration, that's a really good energy, a really good sign for that bull to put his horns up somebody's butt. So
Yeah.
I know you know what I'm talking about. I know you do.
Yes. Mm.
So if you live with somebody who has this energy, you'll understand it. But be sure you're not doing that, right? Be sure you're not all of a sudden just being the bull in the china shop and taking your horns and ramming somebody in the butt, because that doesn't help anybody. Although it's
No, and I mean,
entertaining to watch, but
yeah, because a lot of times what happens when when your computer shuts down and all of those things is you get frustrated.
yeah,
But this is the time when you just see that and you're aware and you just back off,
yeah,
because you can't do anything about these technical stuff anyway, and these
right.
confusions and all of those things.
Right. Exactly. Lots of deep breaths during Mercury retrograde, really, really getting into your body and getting into the visceral part of the earth energy, the feeling up through your body, and just really be patient. Anytime we have a retrograde, it requires a level of patience and understanding, and action can be taken, yes. However, the action needs to be, I feel like, more deliberate, more thought out. Maybe the action is we had to back up because we took a wrong turn, right? We need to make sure we're going the right way, following the map, the right directions. So give yourself some patience from April 21st for the next 3 weeks after that, because you're going to need it.
Mm,
You're going to need it. So that's the
yeah.
main stuff going on in
It
April.
is. It is.
Whew.
It's nice to sort of go through the month ahead and process the past month. Yeah. I want to
Yeah,
keep doing this
I agree.
monthly thing.
I
Yeah.
like it. It gives me something to kind of prepare for as well.
Mm, yeah.
Because even as astrologers, I mean, like, we play around with this and we certainly look at charts and stuff, but sometimes I've not done a lot of look ahead at what's coming kind of energy. I
Mm,
like to look at people's charts and see how the energy developed and how that particular placement manifested for that particular person. And then my brain forms patterns and puts it all together, but I don't typically go in forward to see what's coming. I kind of roll with it, and then
mm,
when I'm experiencing it, I go, "What's going on today?" And then I go look and go, "Oh, oh, that makes sense."
yeah. Yeah.
So I like this.
Mm.
I like going through and checking it out. That feels like a almost like a breather. You can go,
It
"Okay,
gives me
just
peace.
yeah,
I feel peace having done this. Yeah.
yeah." Just knowing, okay, the first, third, and sixth may be a little bit interesting, and then the 11th and 20th. Okay, so it's a couple major days through April, but for the most part, we got this.
We do.
We got this. Well, thank you for joining us, everybody, on our trek through March and April this year, and checking out what's going on. And if you
Mm.
are interested in being on the show or being a guest, or if you have any questions you would like us to address, please feel free to email us. All of our info's in the show notes. And if you liked this, please feel free to share this with your buddies. We would love to keep educating and sharing with our love of astrology with you. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye.